What's up, guys? In this episode, I'll be putting out a very rare and vintage magazine that came out in 1974 on Bruce Lee that you don't want to miss, and it's coming right up. What's up, guys? Charles Damiano back from the Bruce Lee collection for another exciting episode of Bruce Lee Show and Tell. In this episode, I pulled something out from my Bruce Lee collection, and it's a vintage magazine that I picked up when I was 15 years old back in 1974, and as I was thumbing through my collection earlier today, I found this magazine, which I was very excited about because I have over 5,000 items in my Bruce Lee collection. So when I stumbled across this one, it really brought back some great memories. I think I purchased it either from Boclet Tech, which was an Asian martial arts store in Canal Street in Chinatown in New York City back in the early 70s. One of the newsstands that I used to buy all my Bruce Lee magazines and books from. But in any case, it's this book, and I'd love to hear if you guys have this in your collection. It's called The Secrets of Bruce Lee's Kung Fu, and I'm going to take it out of this plastic bag, and I was really excited to find this book because again, it's over 45 years old, and it was one of the first books that I picked up on Bruce Lee. And again, you have to remember, back in that time in early 73, 74, when he just passed away, there was not a lot of material coming out on Bruce Lee. I remember the first magazine that I picked up outside of this one was Fighting Stars magazine, which we featured in another episode, which I'll feature in the description above. But this book is really special because you didn't see a lot of these. And again, it was printed in 1974 by Kung Fu Print Incorporated, and it was by Chun Fan Pao, P-O-U-I, who put this book out on Bruce Lee back then. It was printed in the United States, and again, it came out in 1974. And it really has some incredible photos on Bruce Lee, which I'll thumb through this so you guys get a glimpse of how they put magazines together back in 1974. Far cry from the way they do it now, because everything now is on high quality paper, in color, very thick, you know, the best quality. And back then, this almost looks like just regular kind of typing paper, and everything's in black and white in this book. And, you know, it was just so hard to find almost anything on Bruce Lee back then. So I was fortunate enough to find this. Here you go with a photo opening up. It says Bruce Lee 1940 to 1973. And then as you flip through the magazine, again, it gives you an introduction on Bruce Lee. And then it goes into some Bruce Lee International Superstar posters of all the movies that he made. And as you flip through the magazine, you'll see Bruce Lee again, 1940, 1973. Here with Linda Lee. Some shots at the bottom of Bruce. His famous JKD symbol, the Yin Yang symbol. Again, and then it goes into some of his movies. You got Fist of Fury, Chinese Connection. Always great seeing Bruce with his hair slicked back in some behind the scenes photos that he was taking on that set. I heard the reason they didn't use the slick back hair is because his hair was so fine that they couldn't keep it back. So when they shot the movie, it was just the hairdo that you saw, where it's more in front of his face, more kind of just hanging down, as opposed to more of this kind of DA look, which he tried to go for in Chinese Connection. So I'd love to hear if you guys heard anything different about his hairdo and why they went with the hair down look as opposed to the pushback hair in the comments. So please chime in if you heard something different than what I just explained. Here's a couple of images of him and Bob Baker just kind of having some fun on the set. Bruce Lee doing some flying kicks towards Bob Baker. Here he is in his famous pose with Chuck Norris from Way of the Dragon. And again, just a very interesting book, the way they put this together in all black and white photos on Bruce Lee. Here's some more on Way of the Dragon and Chuck Norris. Again, here he is leaning against the Leaning Tower of Pisa. The great thing about Way of the Dragon is he visited all the famous sites in Rome, which made that movie so intriguing. Obviously, the Roman Colosseum, where he had that big battle scene with Chuck Norris, which, in my opinion, was one of the best fight scenes that ever was produced on screen. And again, here he is leaning against the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Here he is with Chuck Norris in that famous battle scene where he's just letting loose a number of round kicks on Chuck. I think 5 in a row he gives within like 2 seconds flat. The speed that he had was just simply amazing. And here he is in more shots of Bruce with Chuck Norris and Way of the Dragon. And here we go to Enter the Dragon. Here he is at the bottom coordinating a fight scene with Angela Mao. The famous fight scene where they're trying to chase her down. And obviously Bob Wall, because she slits his face, was not very happy with that. And we know what the outcome of that was. Here Bruce is in Game of Death. Again, a film that wasn't complete before he passed away, and wasn't really happy with the version that came out, but I did love A Warrior's Journey that was put out a number of years later after finding, you know, almost an hour of footage of Bruce Lee fighting, obviously, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Danny Inosanto, and the Korean Hapkido guy. Which turned out, in my opinion, to be an incredible, probably one of the best documentaries on Bruce Lee. So if you haven't picked up A Warrior's Journey, please do so. I believe I have a link in the description below to get to all Bruce Lee DVDs that you could pick up on Blu-ray, and Warrior's Journey is one of them, and I would recommend that highly. But here he is in behind the scenes of Game of Death. And again, you have some more great shots from the Game of Death as we thumb through this magazine, some more on Game of Death. And then you switch over to this Traditional Warrior. And this is always intriguing when I see these photos, because this was actually a photo shoot that Bruce did while filming The Big Boss. He took a break and did this Traditional Warrior outfit test shots that we see so often, with him holding a lot of weapons, fans, axes, double swords. And this would have just been an incredible movie if he ever made this for, I believe it was going to be Shaw Brothers at the time. And here they feature some of those shots. Here he is with the axe and the fan, the deadly fan that I told you guys about. And here he is in more shots in the Traditional Warrior outfit that he was doing a test shoot for. Which would just have been an incredible movie if this ever got produced, because as we know, Bruce, when he takes out weapons in any of his films, it's always so intriguing because you never know how he's going to use them. You know he's going to bring something great to the screen, like he did with his Nunchucks, his double stick in Enter the Dragon, the staff, and he just always tries to top his scenes when he introduces new weapons, and I know this film would have just been phenomenal. So let me know what you guys think, how this film would have turned out if Bruce ever completed the Traditional Warrior costume film that he was supposed to make. Again, here he is in some more scenes with Angela Mao. As we know, he was very good friends with Angela Mao. He put her in Enter the Dragon, and then he was always kind of coordinating some of her scenes with her, and when Taekwondo Strikes and Lady Kung Fu. And Bruce was really involved with a lot of his close friends at the time in Hong Kong, even Unit Kong Chan. And he was always on the sets because he was coordinating a lot of fight scenes from them at the time between making his own movies. So he was really putting himself out there in the film industry at that time. And here he is with the double nunchucks from Return of the Dragon. It was when he introduced the double nunchucks for the first time, which was just amazing.
Yes, Bruce Lee is back, blazing his way from Hong Kong to hell in the all-new fantastic adventures of the superhero he created in Enter the Dragon.
Again, more scenes from Game of Death. I love these outdoor scenes from the Game of Death, which you don't really see in the any of the footage. And I know there's probably film out there on this. If any of you guys have film on Bruce and the outdoor scenes, I'd love to see it. I know it's been long sought after, and fans and collectors from around the world always ask if there's any outdoor footage of Bruce coordinating these fight scenes with Danny Inosanto. Right now all we see is usually some stills on there, but I know there's some footage of Bruce out there, and hopefully one day it'll be put out for the fans and collectors like us. Here's Yip Man, who Bruce studied Wing Chun with in the early days, which was the first Kung Fu style that he picked up from probably age 13 to about 18, 19 before he came to the United States and before he started developing his own fighting version, which we all know is Jeet Kune Do or JKD. Here he's doing a little one-hand Chisao with Yip Man. So again, very interesting book. Here he is in traditional warrior costume, which you guys seen before. These looks like it came from his book that he put out, Chinese Kung Fu, The Philosophical Art of Self-Defense, which I have an original copy in my collection and which I put out an episode on. And if you guys have missed that, I will include that up above as well. By clicking the link, you'll see that episode on this great book that he put out back in 1963, and only 500 copies were printed. Let me know if you have that book in your collection. Again, another rare piece. I'm sure the fans and collectors would love to hear about that out there, and I know some of them are looking to purchase that book. So if any of yours are for sale, please chime in on the comments and see what collectors may want to pick that book up from you. Again, just some more great shots of Bruce Lee, and in ending the magazine, this beautiful, very vintage magazine, it just ends with Bruce Lee and a couple of shots with Unicorn Chan over here to the right, and then over here you see his funeral saying farewell to the little dragon, which was a very sad time for everyone. Again, farewell to the little dragon. Some ending scenes of Bruce from Enter the Dragon, Big Boss, and Chinese Connection, and then a beautiful back cover on some scenes of Bruce just kind of casually chilling out. So again, I love this magazine. It's been in my collection for about 45 years. I only have one copy. Love to hear if you guys have this in your collection. Again, it's called The Secrets of Bruce Lee's Kung Fu, put out in the United States in 1974. I hope you guys enjoyed me thumbing through this rare and vintage magazine. Let me know if you have this in your collection. Let me know if you ever seen this before. Again, I was surprised when I found this because I forgot I even had it as I was thumbing through a lot of my magazines. And I'm glad I featured this today. So please comment. Let us know what you thought of this episode. Let us know what you thought of this magazine. Let me know if you have it in your collection. Please like the video if you enjoyed this. Give it a thumbs up. And for those of you who are new to the channel, please remember to subscribe by hitting the subscribe button below. And once again, Charles Damiano thanking each and every one of you out there for joining me every Friday, signing off from the Bruce Lee collection saying, have fun collecting.